I'll call this meeting of the Blackhawk County Board of Supervisors to order. Roll call, please. Mr. Veeder.
Leyland,
Here.
Little,
Here.
Trelka,
Here.
White, Schwartz,
Here.
Greg, you're on mute.
He hasn't muted himself.
You're on mute, Greg. There he is.
I'm here in the office.
Please join us for a moment of silence to reflect on today's actions. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Take a motion on the agenda.
So moved.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The agenda is approved. Next is public comments. This is for anyone from the public wishing to comment on something that is not an agenda item. If you're wishing to speak on something that is an agenda item, that will come later in the meeting. So, all right. Seeing none, we will move on to claims and payments.
Good morning, Board. This week's expenditures are $573,290.10. We have the Sheriff's Department, $32,750. Conservation, $41,578. Secondary Roads, $83,757. E911 Capital, $26,910. And then the large one is Maintenance Capital, which is $285,249. And that is the down payment for the solar project. So,
You're going to entertain a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please. Mr. Veeder.
Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Trelka,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes, the resolution is approved. Next, we'll receive project updates from department heads or elected officials. Morning, Kathy.
Morning, Kathy.
Morning.
Good morning, Board. Kathy Nicholas, County Engineer. This morning, I just wanted to tell you that PCI will be pouring the the west half of the Cedar River Bridge tomorrow, starting at 7 a.m. The work will probably continue until 2 or 3 p.m. If you would like to come out and see it, we'd love to have you come out there and join us. We can give you a vest and a hard hat, so just let me know today, and we'll make sure that you get in the right place tomorrow. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Any other department heads or elected officials wish to give an update today?
Mr.
Yes,
Chairman.
Grant.
Just wanted to point out that today's voter registration day, national holiday, so to speak, and it's National Voter Registration Week, so this is a good time for everybody to get registered to vote before the general election. There's a deadline of October 24th to be pre-registered, which means that your name will be on the voter roll when you get to the polls, and you can register to vote at the polls, but if you get pre-registered, you avoid having to provide forms of identification that you normally wouldn't have to provide.
Very good, thank you, Mr. Veeder. Any other department heads or elected officials wish to give an update today? All right, we will move on to the minutes approved from the September 15th meeting.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The minutes are approved. Next, we will approve the consent agenda. This is will be done with a single resolution.
So moved.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Anything in the consent agenda anyone wishes to discuss? Hearing none, roll call, please. Mr. Veeder.
Little,
Yes.
Trelka,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes, the resolution is approved. Next is contracts and agreements. This is a resolution that the lowest reasonable bid received from Don's Truck Sales Incorporated, Truck Center, Fairbank, Iowa. The bid opening was held on September 15th for the purchase of one single axle Freightliner 10 8SW or 8SD dump truck for fiscal year 2021 for Blackhawk County secondary roads with a bid in the amount of $147,000, $147,065 be approved as Catherine Nicholas, County Engineer.
So moved.
So moved and seconded. Kathy?
Yeah, as you know, we did receive the 3 bids last week. I would recommend that you take the low bid from Don's Truck Sales. We did budget $150,000 in our FY21 capital program for this. I would like to request that we be allowed to purchase the option of the hydraulic system for an extra $33,700. This was to upgrade it to the Force America hydraulic system. That's what we have on most of our trucks, and we would like to, maintain that same equipment on this truck. We will now in the future change our specifications so that that is the system we are specifying. We'd like to maintain that same hydraulic system on our trucks.
And what was the cost of that again, Kathy?
That was $3,700, bringing the total cost to the $147,065,
Okay, thank you.
which would be under our budgeted amount.
Thank you.
Very good. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, roll call please, Mr. Veeder.
Trelka,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes, the resolution is approved. Next is a resolution that the statement of completion and final acceptance of work for the construction of building, foundation, and concrete work on the Gilbertville Maintenance Shop in Gilbertville, Iowa be approved and direct the chair to sign for the same, and authorize and direct the auditor to make final payment to the amount of $15,587. Total project cost was $248,717.50, slightly under the budget of $249,000. This is as recommended by Catherine Nicholas, County Engineer.
I just want to give you a recap of our total costs on this project because now the entire project is complete with this final payment to Mott Construction, our prime contractor. So I would recommend that we be allowed to pay them the $15,587. And I wanted to show you a few slides here of the project. This is of course the finished product of the new Gilbertville shop. Next slide, Kim. And again, back in 2018, when we started this process, we got some preliminary estimates from an architect that the cost of the new building would be approximately $600,000 to $650,000. And this was to have everything complete by contractors. We decided that we would like to build this ourselves. Our crews have some experience in much of this work. So we opted to hire an architect for $38,000. We went out to bid for this service as well with a professional service agreement. Those costs came in at about $38,000. And then the next year in our FY20 budget, we did budget $450,000 for this building. And then we put together 3 contracts, one for a prime contractor, one for electrical services, and then the third contract was the heating and ventilating and cooling contractor. To date, and the final construction costs, including our costs, because we did do some of the work, I'll show you here. The total contract costs came in approximately at $406,000. We believe the budgeted being approximately $45,000 under the budgeted amount. Next slide, Kim. This is a picture of where the Gilbertville shop was. So this was right after demolition. We had demolished the old building ourselves, and in the left of the photo there is a home. You can see the roof line. If you look very off to the left, there's a home just to the left of our facility, and we're sitting above this with the new Gilbertville shop, and this is the traditional site of our building. Next slide. This is the steel erection by Mott Construction. They started that very late last fall, went through the winter. Next slide. The photo here on the right, you can see the retaining wall that our crews built, and this was to prevent some of that dirt or material from sloughing off and going down the hill towards that home that I was referring to earlier. And then the other photo on the left, you can see some of the electrical work, some of the crews working on the building, and we did keep our diesel fuel tank that was in use the whole time. We left it sitting out there, and it is again being used. It's been rewired and hooked up and is now being used again. Next slide. These are just a couple slides during construction. The photo down in the right-hand side, that's approximately that corner of the building is where the hot sea is, where we are able to wash our vehicles now. And then the upper side, you can see the new garage doors. They're let in a lot of light with those types of windows. Next slide. And then these are two finished products of the building. You can see now that we are now housing a motor grader here and a truck, whereas previously we just had a motor grader there. So this is going to give us more, able to do more with our truck crews. And then a finished slide of the garage doors below. Next slide, Kim. And then finally, the finished product of the Gilbertville shop. So overall, it's been a very successful product and resulted in a very nice and new improved building. Can I answer any questions?
Kathy, we got a security system out there?
We don't. We don't have any type of security system on any of our buildings.
Have there been any issues?
Yeah,
No.
but some of them we got fences around.
Correct. The Gilbertville shop, we don't have a fence around that facility. We do have a neighbor right across the street. So in the past, I've been here 10 or 12 years and we haven't had any issues with break-ins. We do lock the facilities during the day, you know, of course when we're not there, but we do not have a security system on any of our shop buildings.
Thank you. Looks nice. I was gonna say, it
Yes.
should be a nice improvement for the area. I remember what it was before. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Do we have any further discussion or questions? It has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please, Mr. Veeder.
White,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Trelka,
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes, the resolution is approved. Next is a motion that the cooperative agreement between Blackhawk County and the City of Waterloo for the proposed Chalice Road Trail Extension Project from Cedar Terrace Drive to the Cedar Valley Nature Trail be approved and direct the chair to sign as recommended by Catherine Nicholas, County Engineer.
So moved?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Kathy?
So this, the completion of this trail allows the Waterloo Trail System to go from Highway 63 over to the Cedar Valley Nature Trail. There's a small portion adjacent to the Cedar Valley Nature Trail that needed to be constructed. The City of Waterloo would like to build this. We, of course, have a small portion of roadway that is in the county. The trail would be on the north side of that. This agreement was put together with the City of Waterloo, and Mike wanted to speak about the impacts to the Conservation Board with the board.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, we also, Conservation Board, at their meeting this month, approved an MOU for rec trail maintenance. The county would be responsible for a portion of the maintenance, but not in the event of repair replacement, just cleanup and that kind of stuff. And so I've got that to go with it if indeed this passes.
So just to further explain that a little bit, this portion of the county road, Chalice Road, out in the county, is a portion that we seal coat, and there are chips or rocks that can come off the seal coat. The new bike trail will be just 2 to 4 feet to the north of the existing road, so it's possible that some of those rocks will get onto the trail. In speaking with Waterloo, we may sweep that, or the city may sweep that, but anything further than that, such as reconstruction of the trail, that's where this other agreement would kick in, and we wouldn't be responsible for that.
So is the maintenance done on that then, just as someone's out there and takes responsibility for doing it, whether it's county or city, or if there would be anything?
Yes, and I suspect that as Waterloo is maintaining the rest of that trail to the west, for example, all the way to Highway 63, if they would probably just maintain or sweep this small portion that's in the county. So I think that that's probably the way it will go. If there's more extensive sweeping required, maybe we would be contacted, but I don't really foresee that.
Thank you.
Very good. This and the next motion are great cooperative efforts, I think, to increase the connectivity of the extensive trail systems we have both in the county and the cities, and so I like seeing this. Do we have any further discussion or questions? It has been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the motion carries. Next is a motion that the agreement for the purchase of temporary easement between Blackhawk County and the city of Cedar Falls, Iowa, granting a temporary construction easement at 2602 Union Road for Union Road Trail Project for the consideration of the sum of $0 be approved, and direct the chair to sign the same as recommended by Catherine Nicholas, County Engineer. I believe it's been moved and seconded. Kathy?
Yeah, so this is, again, another construction of a trail system on the property of our former maintenance building out there on Union Road. The city of Cedar Falls wants to put a bicycle trail along that path. I would suggest that we donate this easement to them. Typically, there would be a small fee paid to us for that easement, but as you know, we are housing a motor grader and an employee, and I believe the health department has people that report to that building as well. So I feel like they are, giving us a place for our employees to go to work. So we shouldn't. It seems fair that we would just give this easement to them without taking any compensation. And as Chris said, it would fulfill another completion of a trail by doing this.
I assume this is a question for Mike. Why, I know you called it a donation from us as a county, but we're saying, really a purchase at zero cost. I assume that has something to do with legal definition, that you'd prefer to do it a purchase agreement at zero cost than just offer a donation.
Well, my understanding is that Cedar Falls wanted I had reviewed a purchase agreement in advance of this one, and they offered it as a donation. My understanding is that the donation practice is something that we have done in the past for projects like this. I don't see anything legally wrong with it. Purchase agreement in part comes about because technically you're giving them an interest in our easement, and so because of that it's worth money. But without any money passing hands, I think we just do a purchase agreement for zero, and that's how we accomplish the donation.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. It has been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the motion carries. Next is a resolution to approve and adopt the countywide Board of Health regulation entitled Face Mask Resolution, passed by the Blackhawk County Board of Health at its special meeting on September 2nd, 2020, following a public hearing held at that same date, and thereafter to have the same published and made available to the public so that it shall take effect as soon as practical. Would someone from the Health Board like to first speak to this?
Do we have all the emails that was county received, the board, do we have them on file?
Probably not yet.
Good morning.
Yes.
Do you have is it just in the permit?
Ryan Brennett, you need to mute, I believe. Yes.
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 Yep.
On behalf of the Blackhawk County Board of Health, I come before you, Dr. Catherine Zeman, and I will be doing the presentation on behalf of the board. And we come before you asking support and endorsement of the face mask regulation passed by the Board of Health on August 21, 2020. Some of the things I'm going to say to you, you already know, but I want them to be in the record. Black Hawk County is Iowa's 5th most populous county, is located in Iowa's 4th most populous metropolitan area, and is home to Iowa's 8th most populous and 13th most populous cities, in addition to other towns. Due to the varying populations and population densities, the appropriate level of care and caution varies with respect to protections enforced against COVID. Black Hawk County is also one of the more diverse counties, if not the most diverse county in our state, when we look at the number of ethnic groups that are represented. The Iowa Public Health Association advocates for a mask mandate and local control. Black Hawk County serves as a regional hub for retail and other businesses, and we really do need to have a local control. The spread of COVID-19 is facilitated by close employee interaction in workplace environments, by attendance at retail centers and other places of business, by the general public, and by interaction between employees and the general public at local businesses. In addition, many local businesses and now national chains are requiring employees and patrons to wear face coverings. Iowa Code 137.104 provides that the local Board of Health shall make and enforce such reasonable rules and regulations not inconsistent with law and the rules of the state board as may be necessary for the protection and improvement of the public health. And we believe that the novel coronavirus causing the disease COVID-19 is a virus that primarily spreads from person to person and can result in serious injury, long-term negative health, and as we know, to date, 86 deaths in our county. The Black Hawk County Board of Health finds that COVID-19 poses a continuing and immediate threat to the public health of Black Hawk County residents and its visitors. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention stated that cloth coverings are one of the most powerful weapons we have to slow and stop the spread of this virus. All Americans, according to this statement that they made, have a responsibility to protect themselves, their families, and their communities. The U.S. Surgeon General said we can turn this thing around if we get a critical mass of people wearing face coverings, practicing at least 6 feet of social distancing, and doing the things that we know are effective. The Iowa Department of Public Health advises on its website that cloth face masks can help slow the spread of COVID-19 in Iowa. And it, as I'm reading the quote, protect yourself and your community by wearing a face covering when out in public and when social distancing is not possible. The board has had input from key partners and stakeholders in the form of professional organization, engagements with local public, public notice, hearings, and on our website and in other forms of social media. We have had ongoing education. Our health department, second to none in this state. I want to go on record that an awesome, awesome group of dedicated servants have done a lot. Social media, press conferencing, advertising, multiple forms of getting information out, hearings, and yet people have not always taken advantage of the opportunities out there. In fact, I hear people say that they are overwhelmed with so much information coming at them. And yet, we continue to resist mask measures. We continue to resist it at the risk of harming even more people, at the risk of having even more deaths. Having a mask regulation has aroused heated debate, and you probably, as I heard the reference to the emails, I'm sure you've got many that's joined in that debate, and you may hear some this morning on Zoom. But it has aroused heated debate despite increasing scientific research affirming the mask value in saving lives. The arguments that I have heard put forth, and perhaps you have too, is that the mask could cause internal injuries, all disputed by researchers, but the opposition remains fierce. I've heard that it's inconvenient. Yes, inconvenient. And I've heard that the decision to wear a mask should be a personal rather than a legal matter. And one quote, "As long as the life risk is my own, I believe that I should decide whether or not the use of a mask is wise." It's also been argued that the value of the mask is yet to be proved, especially in cases of keeping people ultimately protected. We've heard that it is unenforceable. We've heard that more education is needed. I've heard people say, how do we really know that they will save lives? Well, those who may be as old as I am, or maybe not quite as old as I am, remember that these were the exact same arguments that were used for seatbelts. Exact same arguments when seatbelts were proposed. And it's hard to imagine now a time before seatbelts, but on September 25, 1961, we know that Wisconsin became the first state to require seatbelts, and we know after that all states followed, and the same arguments. But yet, we did it because we knew it was the right thing to do, because we knew that it would save lives, because we cared. We cared about our people, and that's what we're asking here, to show that level of care. We're also asking for a level of care for the communities of color in our community. We are diverse, and yet the communities of color, we're paying a higher risk. We are the ones that's most at risk. There's another group, our elderly, most at risk. Our children, especially because it isn't just COVID, but then they have to deal with other kinds of things that happen to them after as a result of COVID. And then those who have pre-existing health conditions. We need to show them that we care about what's happening to them as well. We need to have the courage to show that all people in our county matter, not just those who feel that they have individual rights. We all have individual rights. But the better way is to show that we care for the other person above ourselves. And so with that, the Blackhawk County Board of Health is coming and asking for your support and endorsement of the face mask regulation. And before I yield, I would ask Dr. Catherine Zeman on behalf of the board to make the comments that she has to make.
Thank you, Doc. Appreciate your comments. And I was asked by Dr. Robinson, as the chair of the Board of Health, to make it, or she being the chair of the Board of Health, asked me to make a few comments about some of the current research that is coming out that supports the usefulness of wearing facial coverings and its impact in communities. In September, in New England Journal of Medicine, discussions there talking about our exposure to the number of virus particles being limited by using the mask. And in so limiting the exposure to the number of virus particles, you may actually be able to build immunity, almost like a natural inoculation, without actually having been inoculated. It's a well-known principle that the amount of viral load you're initially exposed to can actually determine whether or not you get a serious case, an active case, or an asymptomatic case. And the discussions in this recent article in the New England Journal of Medicine indicated, based on some of the modeling that these infectious disease specialists were doing, that there could be an 80% asymptomatic or mild case load if we were all wearing the facial coverings versus a 40%. So we could almost double, likely double that number of individuals, right, who are asymptomatic or pre-symptomatic, and really sort of be a form of natural inoculation. So that is an important thing to keep in mind when thinking about this. Another article that I think shows how important this is a Health Affairs article that was published in June, looking at 15 states and Washington, D.C. from April 8th to May 15th. And what they found was a twofold drop in cases 21 days after facial covering mandates were enacted, a twofold drop in cases in those areas, whether or not there was massive of the mandate. These are have happened. So looking at sort of the natural experiment again of what goes on when these facial mandates are passed. And that would have been 200,000 less cases in those 15 states and Washington, D.C. Okay, the period again, April 8th to May 15th. With a case fatality rate of 3%, that's saving 6,000 lives roughly during that period of time. It's a very important point to bring out. And then I urge you to take a look here in Cedar Falls, Waterloo, at where our cases were headed prior to Waterloo City Council on August 18th adopting the face covering mandate, and then add 14 days to that. Do the same thing with what happened with the Cedar Falls City Council on September 8th. And their movement is basically educational. They're not doing any kind of strict enforcement related to providing people with tickets or anything. We see a downward trend now. We begin to see a plateau in the numbers 14 days following, and now we are on a downward trend. Previous almost 10, 11, well, 0.9% now. And I just that I'm very important able to keep our diversity, some percent positive. I'm sure that also the closing of bars helped contribute to that to some degree. But these mask mandates, they do work. They do work. The data is there. Please look at it. Please don't just discount it. Looking at the data yourself and forming about this. And anyone who would like to see these articles, I would be glad to send them to you. Just please send me an email at catherine.zeman@uni.edu, and I would share those two articles with you. Finally, I just want to, no matter what the Board of Supervisors determines today, right? I want to implore people to use the facial coverings. please, if you are in a high-risk group at all, please use the facial coverings. I have over 35 years in medicine, public health, environmental health science. I have a good background in understanding the pathophysiology of disease, and it is frightening. If you get a bad case of COVID, it is frightening what it does to the cells of your lungs, your kidney, your heart, even your bone marrow, we're finding now. It devastates. So I just implore you, if you're listening, no matter what happens today, please consider wearing a face covering. Protect yourself, protect your community, help protect our economy. Okay. Thank you, I appreciate it. One last thing is, flu season is also coming up. Please consider getting a flu vaccine. The estimates on a case of flu along with COVID, it doubles the death rate. So please consider these precautionary approaches. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Zeman.
Thank you. At this point, I was going to just open things up to
Yes.
the public to make comments and just tell the board if you wish to chime in at any point, just please go ahead. We'll first start online. I believe Mark Nook wanted to say something, and then others can chime in as well.
Mr. Chair, have we received
I'm sorry?
letters from these individuals already? Like Mr. Nook? And
Yes.
so forth.
Right. But please go ahead, Mr. Nook.
All right, thank you very much. Members of the Black Hawk County Board of Supervisors. I'm Mark Nook, and I live at 2501 College Street in Cedar Falls. I'm speaking in my capacity as president of the University of Northern Iowa and strongly support the face mask regulation for Black Hawk County that was passed by the Black Hawk County Board of Health at their September 2nd, 2020 meeting. There exists a great synergy between the University of Northern Iowa and the communities of Black Hawk County. UNI has a net economic impact on the state of Iowa that exceeds $1 billion, and much of that impact is in Black Hawk County. The students and employees of UNI are extremely important to the economic health and social and cultural vitality of Black Hawk County. It is my goal to keep UNI's doors open and students here in the Cedar Valley this fall. But reaching that goal depends critically on maintaining the health of our students and employees. A spike in the number of COVID cases among our students or a significant number of cases among our employees will require us to move to online education as we were forced to do last March. Such a move will have a major impact on the morale of our university and a significant economic impact on Black Hawk County. At the University of Northern Iowa, we are requiring students and employees wear a face mask covering at all times in all our buildings and outside when social distancing isn't possible. We are requiring that outdoor gatherings adhere to a minimum social distancing of 6 feet. We have limited our classrooms to under 40% capacity and significantly reduced the number of tables and chairs available in common areas, such as libraries, dining halls, and the student union, so that we can further limit the spread of the virus. We have greatly increased the cleaning of all areas on campus, but especially those with high use. We are going to great lengths to protect our students and employees on our campus, and we are encouraging them to follow these same guidelines when they go off campus to shop, eat, or participate in recreational activities in our parks and trails. We know our students and employees are very active throughout Black Hawk County. For our students and employees to stay safe, we need the communities and citizens of Black Hawk County to take the same level of precautions that we are taking here on campus, or our efforts will not work. It is important that we all work together to mitigate the spread of the SARS-CoV-2 virus as much as possible. The evidence from the CDC and health experts is clear that wearing a face covering, social distancing, and washing our hands are the most important things we can do to limit the spread of the virus. Therefore, I strongly support the resolution in front of the board. We must continue to keep our businesses, schools, and communities open and functioning. But it will take some additional sacrifice at this time. The wearing of a mask or face covering, social distancing, and limiting the size of public gatherings are very small sacrifices that are needed to keep our schools open, our businesses, way of life as possible.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public wish to speak?
Yes,
Yes, go ahead, Belinda.
Supervisors, my name is Belinda Creighton Smith. I reside at 416 Oliver Street in Waterloo, Iowa, and I pastor Faith Temple American Baptist Church as well as adjunct at UNI. And I implore the County Board of Supervisors to support the mandate of the wearing of masks. It is truly unfortunate that from the earliest days of this pandemic, coronavirus has been treated more like a political issue rather than a public health issue. Dr. Osterholm, who is the founder and director of the Center for Infectious Disease Research and Policy at the University of Minnesota, has worked closely with Governor Cuomo to mitigate the spread of this disease in New York City. And as a result of their collaboration and the mandate for masks, they have been able to maintain a fairly low rate of new infections for over the past 3 months. It is imperative that we wear face masks and practice physical distancing, because they are the only weapons we have right now against this disease, against this virus, and the only thing we have to curb the spread of this infection. As pastors, I notice that I see Overseer Helen Seenster here from Koinonia Full Gospel Church, and Pastor Thomas Flint here from Payne AME Church, and they can agree with me as well as Reverend Dr. Mary Robinson, who is the chair of the County Board of Health. They can agree with me, I'm sure, as well as others of you who are learners and followers of Christ, that we are admonished by Jesus to demonstrate our commitment to one another and to demonstrate our commitment in action, even when it's uncomfortable for us. And we are asked to love the Lord our God with all of our heart, with all of our soul, and all of our mind. And that is the first commandment. The second one is this, that we should love our neighbors as ourselves. And these are the two commandments upon which the law and the prophets hang on. To suggest that it's our free and our liberal, our liberty to not wear a mask says that we don't care about our neighbor. Because see, the reality is masks protect our neighbor from us. And that's what people don't seem to understand. That wearing masks protects our neighbor from our potential infection. As of today, nearly 200,000 Americans have died from this disease, which is equivalent to the number of residents that you are responsible for, plus 61,000, which means that Black Hawk County would have been annihilated in totality. Its residents would have been destroyed if that number was comprised of Black Hawk County, plus 61,000 people. My neighbor's sister was resuscitated this early this morning or late last night because she has COVID in ICU on a ventilator, and her heart stopped beating. She wore her mask. She wore her mask as she went to Hy-Vee and shopped. She wore her mask as she went to Quick Start, but other people did not. And as a result, she is in the hospital dying from COVID, not even being in contact with her brother. He in another part of the city, Black Hawk County, has this virus, and now they have two family members. He is a dialysis patient. They have two family members now that they may lose to this disease. And that's just not the end of it. I have story after story that I could tell of those whom I love, whose life have been challenged and whose lives have been altered by this virus. We, as a body of believers, are not even having church in the building because we don't want to risk infecting someone, exposing someone to this disease. So yes, I implore you to seriously consider what it means to love God with all of our heart and what it means to love our neighbor as ourselves. It means protecting our neighbor from this disease. I hope that you will find it in your heart to
I'm Pastor Seenster.
Yes.
I live here in Waterloo at 4040 Homer Street, Waterloo. Excuse my voice, that's why I didn't want to get up. But I feel like I need to say something. I am a native of Waterloo, Iowa. I have an invested interest in Waterloo. one of the things that, as Pastor Belinda and Pastor Mary spoke, that we love our community, we love our neighbors. And when you love, you value other people, expressed in practical ways. And that practical way is to have a mandate to wear those masks. That's very simple, because it's not only protecting you, it's protecting others, and it's showing your love and respect for each other. It's very simple. If we can have a mandate to open bars and to open schools, we need to follow it up with something that's going to protect the lives of our people. And so I urge you, I deploy you to please pass this mandate to wear masks. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to speak?
My name's Catherine Sogard, and I'm the executive director of the College Hill Partnership. I live at 330 Columbia Circle in Waterloo, and I'm speaking on behalf of the partnership today. With a face mask requirement at the University of Northern Iowa and both the city of Waterloo and Cedar Falls enacting a mask mandate, our organization believes that it's vital for everyone in Black Hawk County to play their part. As many speakers have said previously, it's to help your neighbor. Mask mandates are proven to be effective in reducing COVID-19 transmission. And for more than 3/4 of Americans support state laws requiring masks. Therefore, the protection of the health, wellness, and well-being of our neighbors and friends. Doing everything we can to prevent the spread of COVID-19 will help us keep our community members safe, students on campus, and businesses open at this challenging time. The College Hill Partnership understands that we have to give a little to get a lot. Our organization's foundation is in that thought, in that precedent where neighbors and landlords and businesses have come together as a part of the partnership and given of themselves for the greater good. That's what we're asking you to support, a county-wide mask mandate to protect our citizens of Black Hawk County and ensure that our business community can continue to stay open and serve those who live, work, and play throughout the county. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There's no picture.
Any other members from the public wish to speak?
Oh, okay. We had a picture of you.
Mary Murphy, could you mute unless you wish to speak?
So you said Mary Murphy.
Yes, you're not muted, and it's interfering with other speakers. But if you wish to say something, please go ahead. Otherwise, please mute. All right. Anybody else from the public wish to speak? Yes.
Hi, my name is Nilvia Reyes Rodriguez. I'm a commissioner on the Waterloo Commission on Human Rights. I'm also a student at UNI, and I work a lot with the Latino and immigrant communities here in the Cedar Valley, and I know that, I'm sure we all know that COVID-19 is disproportionately affecting Latinos, not just here in the Cedar Valley, not just in Iowa, it's across the whole country, right? And so, and it's disproportionately affecting Latinos as well as African Americans. And so I know that you have had a vocal minority, a very vocal minority, sending emails against the mask mandate. But I just want to remind everyone that while the Latino and the African American community might not be in your emails, they will be there on November 3rd at elections. This one, the next one, the next one. And we are aware of what goes on, and we are paying attention, and we do want, at least on my part, I would like the mask mandate to protect my community, to protect my neighbors, to protect my daughter, to protect my family. So I just urge you to think about that and take that into consideration.
Thank you. Is there anybody else from the public that wishes to speak? All right. Board, do you have any questions? Or either legal or the health board?
No, I was here if you had more questions of me.
I mean, I guess I'll just say, my part, this is, throughout this pandemic, one thing's been clear is that we can't wait on leadership to come from the state. It's not going to come from the federal government. We're the ones that we've been waiting for. And this is about everyone in Blackhawk County doing our part to keep our friends, our families, and our neighbors safe so we can mitigate the spread of COVID-19 and keep businesses open and keep the economy flowing so that the return to normalcy will come sooner rather than later. The new research that's coming out about the reduced viral load that people are exposed to because of wearing masks is very promising. And it's just another point that just shows the importance of this simple step. The code does, or the regulation does have a number of exceptions for people with different medical conditions. And so for me, that's not a concern. And that's why I support the actions of the Board of Health and support this regulation. Yes, Dan.
I believe in wearing a mask. I wear a mask. I do not believe in criminalizing not wearing a mask. The city of Waterloo has a mask mandate. Cedar Falls has a mask mandate. I don't believe Evansdale does. And they're all over the board within our own community. And circumstances keep changing every day. Rules keep changing every day. I'm afraid it just adds to the confusion. When I go to a business, I'm going to respect their wishes. Whatever city I'm in, I'm going to respect their wishes, but I will not support the countywide mask mandate.
Any other board members wish to speak?
I know I guess my comment would just be, we've said since day one that we weren't going to consider, or we weren't putting heavy weight into the enforcement side of this. And yet that seems to be where people keep coming back to, that we should be the enforcers of this. And so I'm wondering what type of missed opportunities there are out there for us to educate the public, because part of our job, or part of the Board of Health and the Health Department's job, is providing information to the public so that they and we make healthy decisions. And there obviously are people out there we're trying to capture with this that aren't wearing masks. I've been very proud of this, of the county and this board's position. We were probably one of the first, if not the first, governments in this county that said we were going to protect our staff and we were going to protect the residents of Blackhawk County that come into this courthouse. And so we put a mask mandate in place for all of us because we were looking out for each other. And that's continued. We have had support from our staff, but all of us even personally support the mask and wear that out in the public. So it's not just that we're putting it on because it is done here at the courthouse. So I am sorry that those types of things aren't setting enough examples in the public, that more people are doing, wearing masks and seeing that need to protect each other. But what else can we do? I guess I would like some discussion on that, or more discussion on that. I do think also we've talked about different times going to the various communities and information that could be shared with them on the individual municipalities that have law enforcement, that have mayors and councils, and what their positions are and what they want to do in their communities. So that's been a critical piece for me. And I think it still always comes back to enforceability. The manpower that it would take to do this. The health department certainly doesn't have it, and nor are people trained to do it. I think that's why we see in the stores and the different establishments, people sometimes aren't wearing them, even though they've been asked to do so by the businesses. That it's difficult to enforce from that standpoint. From a law enforcement standpoint, we certainly don't have an abundance of people on our law enforcement, whether it's deputies or whether it's police departments, that can be issuing citations and out, I guess, doing other types of activity as it relates to this, when we have criminals and crimes in our jails full of people that we need to be protecting our residents too. So my reasons on this have not changed from when it was presented before, and I, like I said, still say maybe there's some missed opportunities for us to educate, but somehow we need to get that message across. Thank you.
Okay, board, anyone else wish to speak? Is there anyone else from the public or in the room that wishes to speak on this? Yes.
Dr. Nafisa Sise Bonye. Education. Since March, we have been educating. So I have to say I take it very personally because we have been educating, and educating. The health department staff has gone above and beyond. We stay alert for updated guidance. We have been placed in a reactionary mode instead of proaction, and the root cause of this issue is not stemming from the health department, but it's stemming from inconsistency by the national and state approach. So I do take it very personally because the health department has gone above and beyond in education. I have reached out to the smaller communities and have asked them, what else can we do better? And we have been educating. We have been educating businesses. We have been educating healthcare. And so it is very hard for me to stand here and hear that more education needs to happen. We are concerned going into the flu season and COVID. All these communications that we're having at the local level, I am having it at the state level. And I have to say this, even my state colleagues are concerned because they don't want to push the envelope too hard. Public health has been politicized, and that has been unfair to us. Very unfair. It is very hard to protect the health of our citizens when public health has been politicized. And so I am very open to any type of education we have to do, but I have to say we have gone above and beyond educating the community. We are in meetings with our business, our healthcare, our education sectors. We have taken a health equity approach, which has never happened here in Iowa. We have taken a health equity approach because we have realized that the inequities within this community has been problematic, has been very problematic. Disproportionately, it is impacting people of color because we have not addressed those root causes. So I stand here, I take it very personal because we are education out.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yes.
I appreciate your passion, and I understand, Nafisa, your department and you have worked harder than probably anyone in the state, maybe across the country, at education and at trying to work with all of the different communities, with the different businesses. And I'm sure very frustrated as well when you see that some of those things that you're suggesting, recommending, and services people could do and change aren't being changed. And when you pass this resolution, or when you, at your hearings and previously with your proclamation, had mentioned doing this, I wished you the best of luck in using this as an education format in any way you could to get the public informed on the importance of masks. But the mandating part and the enforceability part becomes, even if you educate 24/7, that becomes an issue.
Yes, so I think that's a separate issue from education. Because when
is.
it's stated that more education is needed, I have asked, what are some of the, what feedback do you all have for me to do this differently? So when that kind of message is stated to me, I go back with staff and they're like, what else can we do? So I think it's very important to be clear. The issue here isn't education. The community has been educated.
And so that clarity is very important because we're out there in the public asking. I've had meetings with Tom Hart at Tyson. I said, what exactly, what can we do better? What kind of education can we provide? And he clearly stated that what else can you do? So I think it's really important for us to separate those two issues. I really want to ensure that the conversation, if it's about enforcement, is different from education, because we have been educating the community and we will continue to educate the community. That is our responsibility. But I want the Board of Supervisors to recognize that the Blackhawk County Health Department has gone above and beyond in their response of COVID-19. That is very important for us to hear. That is very important for the community to hear, because we can't be applauded, our efforts can't be applauded outside of the county and not at our county. That's very important for us. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Nafisa.
And I appreciate your passion again, but I think we have been very supportive and wanted to do that. This didn't seem to be the measure to do it.
So let's talk about enforcement for just a minute.
Yes.
I think I think I disagree with my colleague for just a minute, because I think there is an increased measure of education that can be used with this. If we were going to go out, if you passed this and we were going to look for simple misdemeanor citations to try and curb people not wearing masks, I think that would be ineffective. However, as soon as you declare that there's a mask mandate in effect, 90% of your citizenry are going to follow it. We've seen it other places. So that in and of itself is an educational value. Criminologically, sociologically, we know that 1% of the population commits 90% of the crime. And so if you look at it as a crime, which again, it's a simple misdemeanor, but I think even those enforcing that mandate, that regulation, would opt for education over citation, over enforcement. So it's an opportunity for those businesses who are looking for the moral high ground, who are looking for that excuse to be able to do the right thing, to say it's not my rule, it's the county's rule, to be able to protect their fellow patrons, to protect the neighbors. I think that it's an opportunity for those neighbors who know it's the right thing to do in their heart, but they also know it's uncomfortable, it's a pain in the butt, it's whatever. It's a way to encourage people to do the right thing. Again, I somewhat disagree. I think that it is an opportunity for education, and it's that next level of education, and it may be that way, Linda, to reach those who otherwise were not being reached. I can tell you from an enforcement perspective, triaging crime and response to criminality of someone not wearing a mask is not high priority. We're not going to be running around mask patrolling. That's not our priority. It's not what we do. However, low-hanging fruit being what it is, and the opportunity to educate and say, listen, you're out of compliance. We want you to do the right thing. Here's a mask, is not a difficult thing for us to pull off either. That's just being good neighbors. That's just being community-oriented. And anytime law enforcement can be oriented within the community and focused on doing the right thing within the community, it's of value to us as well. So one of the most dangerous and one of the most difficult times for us when we first stood up the EOC was when we started seeing people dying out of the Tyson plant. When we knew we were doing everything we could possibly do and we watched people die. And then contact tracing said, you know what? You had a nurse and you had a Tyson worker who lived together. And that nurse worked at a care facility. And all of a sudden our defenses were blown. Unintentionally, they started spreading that virus to people who were infirmed, people who had comorbidities, people who didn't have the option. Nursing homes were doing everything right. They were following every guideline we had set for them, every defensive line we had put up. That's why we wear masks. Not to protect us, not to protect everybody healthy. That's not why we wear masks. It's for those people who can't protect themselves. That's who you're voting for. That's who you're trying to protect. That's who we're trying to protect. That's what makes this important.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tony.
Is there anybody else that wishes to speak? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion on the resolution. I will make the motion on the resolution. Is there a second? Is there a second? I guess the resolution fails for lack of a second. Thank you all, and thank you so much to the Board of Health and the Health Department for everything you've done under impossible circumstances and the many ways that you've gone above and beyond to do the best that you can to protect this community. And I'll forever be grateful for all of you.
I just want to say that the Board of Health, we knew it was going to be an uphill battle. And I'm extremely disappointed today because I really thought that there would be the courage to really do the right thing and protect our citizenry. And even though we knew it was going to be an uphill battle, we continued on because we wanted the community to know that we cared and that we did the right thing, regardless of what the Board of Supervisors did or not. And so not only am I extremely proud of the department, I'm extremely proud of the Board of Health and for standing up and being courageous. When people see that leadership cringes and act as if they don't know what to do, then people follow. But when leadership stands up and says, regardless of what, we are going to do what we can for the majority of our citizens, that in itself makes a statement. So I just wanted to leave you with my passion, my feelings. We have done the right thing. The Board of Health, the department is doing the right thing. They're doing an awesome job. And Dr. Neficia is right. We are recognized all over the country for the work that our department is doing. They do need better from you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We do appreciate their efforts. And I'm sorry, I guess, if that seems that we have not recognized those. I thought we've tried to do that over the course of the last, this pandemic, that we do know that the department is going above and beyond, and appreciate your efforts and appreciate you bringing this to our attention as you think you were, that it was necessary. And so please don't think it means anything less than that.
Well, we will move on in the agenda. This is item E. This is a resolution of the suspension of taxes by Beverly A. Beaumont on taxes owed for 2020, 2021.
Second.
Installments amount of $486. This is for parcel number 8913-13-151-012. Be approved pursuant to Iowa Code 427.8 as recommended by County Treasurer. So moved and seconded. Rita?
The next 8 resolutions coming up are for suspension of property taxes. These are individuals that do qualify for property tax credit relief. They're at 100%. It can give up to $1,000 off of their taxes. They are fully aware that the taxes are still due and payable upon sale of the property or death. So with that, these individuals do qualify for the suspension under the 427.8.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, roll call please, Mr. Veeder.
Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Trelka,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes, the resolution is approved. Next is resolution on suspension of taxes requested by Reinhardt Kimball on taxes owed for 2021 installments in the amount of $926 for parcel number 89123541-010. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, roll call please, Mr. Veeder.
Little,
Yes.
Trelka,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes. Next is resolution is approved. Next is resolution of suspension of taxes requested by Judy L. Langham on taxes owed for 2021 for $902 for parcel number 891336129009.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, roll call please, Mr. Veeder.
Trelka,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes, the resolution is approved. Next was a resolution on the suspension request by Cassandra Little on taxes owed for 2020, 2021, installment in the amount of $446 for parcel number 891326429011.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, roll call please, Mr. Veeder.
White,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Abstain.
Trelka,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes, the resolution is approved. Next was a resolution on the suspension of taxes by Jason McGee on taxes owed for 2020-21.
Second.
Amount of $2,880 for parcel number 891335406018. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, roll call please, Mr. Veeder.
White,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Trelka,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes, the resolution is approved. Next, a resolution on the suspension of taxes by Diane Olinger on taxes owed for 2020-2021, the amount of $1,498 for parcel
moved.
number 891328204005. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, roll call please, Mr. Veeder.
Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Trelka,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes, the resolution is approved. Next was a resolution on the suspension of taxes by Jane Stringland on taxes owed for 2020-2021. For installments, the amount of $536. This is for parcel number 881427429027. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, roll call please, Mr. Veeder.
Little,
Yes.
Trelka,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes, the resolution is approved. Next, a resolution on suspension of taxes by Angela Alaska on taxes owed for 2020-2021 installments for the amount of $860 for parcel number 871225461005. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions?
So moved.
I'm sorry, it's been moved. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussions? Hearing none, roll call please, Mr. Veeder.
Trelka,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes, the resolution is approved. Moving on to item M. This is a resolution of the tax sale certificate assignment for one vacant lot and one building. This is parcels number 891325337013 and 8913253337-012, located in Waterloo, Iowa, pursuant to Iowa Code 446.31.
So moved.
Be approved, and said certificate of purchase of tax
Second.
sale be assigned to DeLong Snow Lawn Care LLC, as recommended by Reed Schmidt, County Treasurer.
This is two properties. One was located at 1500 Commercial Street and a vacant lot next door. It was used as a used car dealership, which is now vacant, and taxes have not been paid on this since 1992 and has accrued interest and specials during that time. Derek DeLong, doing business as DeLong Snow and Lawn Care, had written a letter to the board for a request for an assignment of the certificate and with his goals of what he wants to do with the property. As far as the Blackhawk County, I would be all for the assignment of this certificate to the two certificates to Mr. DeLong and his company due to the goals of getting a bigger building and taxes being paid for the future. So with that, if there's any questions, and Mr. DeLong is here if there's questions for him.
All right, it has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or questions? Hearing none, roll call please, Mr. Veeder.
White,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Trelka,
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes, the resolution is approved. Next is a resolution of the compromise offer in the amount of $17,000 by DeLong Snow and Lawn Care LLC on taxes owed for one vacant lot and one building. Be approved.
Second.
So moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, roll call please, Mr. Veeder.
Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Trelka,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes, the resolution is approved. Next is a resolution to approve and adopt a property tax grant for Blackhawk County active military duty personnel as adopted by Blackhawk County Commission on Veterans Affairs to approve funding for property tax assistance grants totaling up to $10,000 countywide for property taxes due during fiscal year 2021, all pursuant and subject to the terms set forth in said grant. It's been moved and seconded.
I'm sorry.
I did.
Thank you.
Craig did too.
So moved and seconded. Does everybody have their questions answered from last week?
Nope.
All right. Roll call, please, Mr. Veeder.
Little,
Yes.
Trelka,
Yes.
White. White,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes, the resolution is approved. Next is a motion to direct the chair to sign the grant agreement between Blackhawk County and the Center for Tech and Civic Life, awarding to the county a grant in the amount of $267,500 for planning and operationalizing safe and secure election administration in Blackhawk County in 2020.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second? All right. I will second this. Any discussion or questions?
I guess I'd like to know where it's all going to be used at,
Beg pardon?
where the money's going to be used.
Use.
Okay, I sent the agreement to the board, I believe. And it listed a number of things. And these are estimates, and some of these may change, but there's $55,000 in for additional personnel, $30,000 for outreach materials, which is basically the mailing that we did for absentee ballot requests, $20,000 for the envelopes and pieces of the mailing. Then the ballot box, the drop box was about $2,000. And we have some money in for poll worker hazard pay, but that's, we're not going to set an amount on that until we see how much is available. Then there's personal protective equipment at the polling places, and that's the bulk of it.
Also, there's some controversy associated with it that I've been made aware of. That concerns me. At face value, it sounded great. But I want to see fairness across the board. I want what's good for the goose, I want to be good for the gander.
Okay.
But have you
like
heard
me to
about that
address that?
controversy grant?
Yeah. This is a grant that came up suddenly, and we didn't know a lot about it, but we have found out more as time has gone on. The Center for Tech and I can't remember the full name of the organization,
Civic.
CTCL, got a large grant from Mark Zuckerberg and his wife, the owner of Facebook, $250 million to spread for this purpose. And some people think that it's politically motivated, that it's just democratically nominated counties. Mark Zuckerberg is well known for his friendship with the Republican president, so I'm not sure why that's considered politically motivated. This money has been made available to, I don't know what's going on around the country, but in Iowa it's been made available to all counties. I did sent out a question to county auditors yesterday, and I heard back from 3 counties that had applied for grants and received them. One of them has more Democratic voters by 1,000 than Republicans. That's Cerro Gordo, but the majority, or the largest component of their voters is no party. Another one, Decatur County, said they have about 1/3 Democrat, Republican, and no party. And Crawford County said they're primarily Republican and no party. So all of them received grants. And, that's just the information that I've been able to receive. Now, if you look at it in terms of what we're using it for, are we using it to benefit one group of voters over another? We have already made the expenses that we are using this for in large part. We knew that because of the pandemic, we decided to send out the absentee ballot request forms, and that was supported by this board. That was before we knew anything about the grant. Sorry, what was the second thing I was thinking? Oh, yeah, that we have to have an increase in number of employees, part-time, temporary employees. It has a large cost associated with it. We were going to do that anyway to get our absentee ballots processed properly. And so this money is going to defray that cost. So about the only thing that we wouldn't do if we didn't have this money is to, we were talking about sending out a mailing to people to further explain some of the confusing issues with the election. That hasn't been completely decided on. We could forego that. And the other thing that we haven't already decided to do or spent the money on is to provide hazard pay to precinct workers. And that's obviously not a partisan effort. So if you have any other questions on that, I'd try to answer them, but that's as much as I know.
What is the grant? How much?
Our grant is $267,500.
Is that, how do you arrive at that number?
That's from what Karen Showalter put together in these estimates.
Other counties do they show what they're getting, or?
It was $5,000 for Decatur, $10,000 for Crawford, and I don't know, I put it in the email to you. For Cerro Gordo, it seems like it's around $20,000.
I do have a couple more questions, Grant. Will this help make, and I'll ask them both at the same time, because you covered on it a little bit, but will this help make our process more secure? And by receiving this grant, will it save us from spending a certain amount of tax dollars of our taxpayers' hard-earned money?
Well, the answer to the first question is no, because we've already taken the steps to make the process more secure. But the answer to the second question is yes, because of those expenses. They're going to be taxpayer-covered expenses if we don't take this money. And, I can understand where people might feel like this is, that they're sensitive to political considerations. But what it boils down to me is we're probably going to do the same things outside of those two things that I mentioned. We're going to do those and have those expenses anyway. They were already planned before we knew anything about this grant, and so we can either pay for them with taxpayer money or with this private grant.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think, as far as another mailer route, I think people are so confused now that the least amount of stuff they get, when you get six requests in the mail, a lot of people don't know what the heck's going on.
Yeah, that's a fair point, and it's really difficult. We get questions all the time. We get questions, the same question over and over again. So you never know what information needs to go to what voter. And maybe another mailer, it would be redundancy or confusion. And if we didn't send a mailer and we don't spend all the money, then the money will go back.
And you've been putting out press releases, trying what you can to clarify everything you can, so. Yeah.
Well, I had a question today whether you haven't heard from me yet because they sent their request in.
We have, we're not sending out ballots till October 5th.
Yeah, I understand that.
We try to get that out to people all the time too. And after October 5th, then people will start getting their ballots.
Yeah, and I'm fully aware of that.
Thank you, Grant.
Any further discussion or questions? All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries. Next is a resolution to approve and direct the chair to sign for the same security services agreement with Homeland Security, CISA, as recommended by Kim Beater, IT Director.
Is this the free one, Kim?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. No. Well, that's the second.
That's next.
This is free, but.
Yeah.
So I have two items here. The Secretary of State had some requirements or requests for additional security. Actually, it's testing, just a second here. Risk and vulnerability assessment, remote penetration testing. So some things that we do to a certain extent, but this will be another option for us. And so we'll go ahead, if you approve this and have that completed. One of the other thing with that is we're required to have all the items that we currently do have from the state CIO office. So we had that already in place. Our password requirements are in place. There's quite a few things on the list, and we were doing pretty good. So this is one item that we're going to need to address, whether we do it through them or use a vendor that we would have to pay for. So I would suggest that we go ahead with this, please.
Motion.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, roll call, please, Mr. Beater.
Trelka,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes, the resolution is approved. Next is discussion, possible board action regarding the domain name update.
Yes. So this one I'm having a hard time with. Could go either way. There are two options. One would we get the new domain name from the federal government, and it would be blackhawkcountyiowa.gov. There's a $440 fee annually for using that. It's a little bit more secure than the domain name that we have right now. The second option is we can use a subdomain from the state. So then it would be blackhawkcounty.iowa.gov. Now, and there's no fee associated with that. Now, the problem is, it would be very nice if all the counties came up with one plan and went with them, but that's not the case. So there are at least 24 at the time I asked, and at that point, he was getting 2 to 3 requests a day from the state to use the blackhawkcounty.iowa.gov. Unfortunately, Polk County and Scott County and Johnson County have, chosen to go with all one word. So part of me thinks, to be consistent, we should go that route. The other point is, if we go with the state subdomain name, we can probably do it immediately. If we go with this federal one, it's 4 to 6 weeks out before we'll get
I think to me, I know it's $400, but the one that's all one word is clearly the better domain name that's easier for the public to use and remember, and it's going to be consistent with our fellow urban counties that have gone this way. It'd be great if all counties just did the same thing, but that's not going to happen right now. So I think the simplest is the best, and $400 to make it simple and easy for the public to use and remember and reach us is worth it to me.
And you said that was $400 a year?
$440 every year.
$440. Okay. Mhm.
Is it more secure than the other?
They're both the same. Actually, iowa.gov, so it's just a part of that. That's why it's .iowa.gov.
Gotcha.
Well, I liked kind of the state being kind of set out between, I know different from your opinion, having Blackhawk County, period, Iowa, period, gov,
I do
because you
too.
see the state right away too, but.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, it's you
Yeah,
talk to
I know.
young people and they look at these addresses and they think it's like from when the internet was
Ridiculous
invented,
that they're
and
not
so
doing the same one, but yeah.
But if
Got a thought?
if we do go with federal one,
can
I
think
would
about
like
it,
to make
yeah.
a decision today so that we can get that going, so.
I'll make a motion to go with the state.
I'll second it.
all right,
Have something to say?
Well, I guess my question was only going to be that 440. Is there a chance that is going to increase on a annual basis, or is that perpetuity?
Well,
Everything usually does.
Yeah, true. For the next few years.
Do we have a roll call on this?
Yep.
Yeah, we'd have to be well, I guess there's going to be some paperwork that's going to need to be signed by somebody.
All right. So So we're going, so the motion is to go with the dot.
The
I.
state, yeah.
Okay. It's been moved. Do we have a second?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so moved and seconded. A roll call, please, Mr. Veeder.
White,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Elka,
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes. Next is discussion on acquisition of 5036 Wyden Road.
I think everybody's seen that we were contacted by this individual. He was part of that is a flood area, as we know, because we do have some flood properties over there. He did qualify, I believe, for the last FEMA buyout, and he didn't take it. Things have changed for him, so he currently lives in a different area and he wants to give that lot up. Obviously, the taxes were due in September. Did he pay the taxes in September?
No,
Okay, they're not a huge amount, the taxes.
$218 a year.
And there'd be taxes yet in March, right?
Yes, it would be the total for the year September and March is the 218.
So the county would have that cost of those two to forgive those taxes. I think it's a benefit to obtain that property. It's another piece of property to get out of the floodway. Conservation looked at it. They do have interest in it, but down the road for some reason. And we do have some property. Now, he told me the one next door was FEMA, but you said in the letter there's resident on each side?
You're talking to me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mike Hendrickson from Conservation went down to take a look at it. He said he can't make any assurances as to whether the structures on either side are occupied, but if you had to guess, it looked like they were. And so what Conservation was looking at doing was possibly using it as, I believe, pollinator property. Occasionally they have to burn on those properties. They can't do that with structures next door. So they don't have a lot of current interest. They wouldn't absolutely rule out, and I see Mike's on, so he can correct me if I get any of this wrong, but they wouldn't absolutely rule it out in the future that they may have some use for it, but right now they're kind of negative on them taking it over.
And then there would be a cost, you said, in the abstract or something?
Yeah, we would, well, first we'd have to find an abstract for it, and then we'd have to, typically the seller, in this case, we would have to pick up the costs, I'm sure, has to get the abstract continued, so that I can do a title opinion, make sure we could actually acquire clear title. And if not, if there isn't clear title in the transferor, we'll have to see what's clouding the title and whether that can be resolved or not. We're going to want to do that before we acquire it. There will be another abstracting expense after we acquire it, because we then have to have the abstract continued again to reflect that we are now the title holders. We do a final title opinion, then hand it all over to the auditor's office. I imagine, and this is somewhat speculative on my part, but I imagine the abstracting costs would be under $1,000 on this. I can't guarantee that. Sometimes if there is no abstract and you're starting over, that's where it can get really costly. But I assume that somewhere there's an abstract. The question is whether we can put our fingers on it, and it would start with me having a conversation with this guy who owns it right now.
And there's not a structure on this property?
No. He claims that he didn't get the right information, that's why he didn't go for the flood buyout, but I don't think that's necessarily true.
So are we just looking then at Mike looking into it further and getting back to us?
Yeah, we would want to take any action. I think if we have Mike look into it further, I mean, you got to have a cost, and then we just have to weigh if it's worth it for the board to do that, but we certainly don't want any more build, because it's been flooded twice, I think, in my time there.
Right.
And can we, as we do that, can we figure out what the status of the properties on each side of it, just so we know whether it would be a further use for?
I'm sure he told me on one side was FEMA property, which would be ours right now.
I can look into that with with either maintenance or someone to see if we can figure out what the status of those properties are.
All right, anything else on this? All right. Any discussion related to county preparedness and possible updates for COVID-19? We've covered that today. Any reports or information from the board?
I had a question on anyone's availability, not that I have to do it, but the interview for Karen Agee or Agee
Mhm.
for the P&Z or Board of Adjustment. We have one more person that applied. We could probably put them on one or the other if anybody wants to interview.
I'm happy to do it with you if you like to do that, or.
All right, unless somebody else wants to.
Yeah, anybody else?
No,
Okay.
Sure, thanks.
All right. Well, we will move on. We do have a closed session.
We take a short recess?
Yeah, we can take a short recess.
You've done pretty good today. Didn't have to get up and up. Yeah.
If you just didn't want to do it, I could do it on a Zoom too, Linda.
That's how I plan to do it anyway, but I just meant, yeah.
Sweet, so we figured.
What's that?
Regular one is for now.
We'll have to make the resolution first.
We have this
Okay.
little strip right here that Blackhawk County doesn't.
All right, so this is a resolution.
Have you staying in for this? Pardon me? You staying in for this? Yeah. Can I remove you from the thing? What?
Oh, he's gonna take people off, so we make sure we don't have anybody listening in. He wants to
Yeah.
Make sure he takes everybody off that's in the,
He just wants to get you off the screen.
don't need extra people listening.
All right, this is a resolution to proceed into closed session for discussion of strategy with counsel of a matter where litigation may be imminent, where its disclosure would be likely to prejudice or disadvantage the position of the governmental body where litigation to occur, and where there will be review and or discussion of records and information which are required or authorized by state or federal law to be kept confidential pursuant to Section 215 Code of Iowa.
So move. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call, please, Mr. Veeder.
Leyland?
Yes.
Little?
Yes.
Trelka?
Yes.
White?
Yep.
Schwartz?
Yes.